I still don't think that Cormac is dead, and there's a couple glaring reasons. First and foremost, the word mark tattoo that Sarah gave him in CC2. He had a thick band of quote-unquote strange symbols in black gleaming ink around his bicep. Those are word marks. That was never explained. So I think that when he was blasted with the Asteri's power when they blew up the lab, I think the word marks were activated by it, and I think he was also flung through a rift into Prithian. Do I have proof? No. My only proof is that SJM would not put a word mark tattoo on someone and then not explain it, or at least I'm hoping she wouldn't. And then my second part of proof is that when Bryce dies and basically goes to the heaven or otherworld or whatever they call it, she sees Danica, she sees Connor, she sees Lahaba, she sees the entire pack of devils. Where's Cormac? Not there. Not there. And we know he died as a rebel, so he wouldn't have gone to hell because he was a good guy. He's not there. That was glaring to me because Tharian had brought him up, Bryce had brought him up because she taught him how to teleport, Rune had brought him up and was like, I wish we had the chance to be cousins. Like, Lydia brought him up as Agent Silverbow. He was brought up a lot. And everyone's like, oh, the poor agent, oh, poor Cormac, oh, he died for this, he died for that. But first of all, we don't have a body, obviously, because he was quote-unquote blown up. But the fact that if we didn't have a body, we didn't see his soul, that's what was weird to me. That was very, very weird to me. Because we've seen Danica's soul how many times? Ethan got to talk to Connor. It's weird. It's weird that his soul wasn't there. And then Pollux makes some weird joke like his father disowned him or whatever's left of his body. But there was never any mention that there was any body there or like body parts or anything like that there. So I totally think that he was blasted through a rift because of his word mark tattoo. I think that when he went through the rift because it was word marks, kind of like Aelin, he not only traveled through worlds, but he traveled through time as well. And so he kind of went a little bit back in time. And I believe, because people think I'm delusional, but I think this makes sense. I believe that Cormac was the sleeping shadow that Mor saw in Akathas because Mor, her horse was kind of a little on edge, but Mor sends out a tendril of her power and she like kind of susses it out. And she's like, it was a little different from Asriel's. It was more like sleeping and dark or whatever. She said she could not sense any danger, but she also couldn't sense anything else about it. Like she couldn't sense anything weird about it, anything crazy about it. And if Cormac is related to Mor, it would not feel unfamiliar because it would feel like her power. She says actually like it didn't feel unfamiliar or anything. So yeah, if Cormac and Mor have similar powers, then it would feel like her power. It wouldn't have felt unfamiliar. But I think that Cormac being injured by the Gorsian bullet, I think that they put in him, I think that he, in his travels, may have lost his memory. And he's just been hiding in his shadows to protect himself and kind of just slumming over Prithian. Yeah, but anyway, I think that he was the sleeping shadow. I think that Mor didn't say it was unfamiliar because it was basically her line's magic, because as we know, Avalyn was part of Dusk, and Mor is Night and Dusk, and Cormac is Dusk, and they're all Dusk, and it wouldn't have felt unfamiliar to her. But I want Nesta to find him, and I want them to rule Dusk together. He would also be semi-used to not having technology, because he lived in Avalyn with no technology. Mor was said in Akamath to have quote-unquote dark, roiling magic beneath her pretty exterior, and we know that Rhys says, oh, anyone would be foolish to think that the Illyrians were the apex predators of our circle. So Mor has some sort of shadow magic along with her truth magic. Cormac has shadow magic along with his fire magic. So again, I think it would feel familiar to her because Cormac's magic is technically her magic. And in Rune and Lydia's bonus chapter, Rune says, he's talking about Cormac, and he says, oh, wherever his soul now resides, maybe he's with Sophie. Like, what do you mean, wherever his soul now resides? Wouldn't you say, like, oh, he's at peace with Sophie in the other world? Why are you saying wherever his soul resides? And I also think it was very convenient that Hypaxia is now Under Queen. So if he is technically dead, couldn't she bring him back to life without interference from the Under King? That's a different theory. But yeah, wherever he resides, he's residing in Prithian Rune. For the longest time, I was thinking, okay, Nesta's not going to end up with Cassian, she's going to end up with Eris, because going back to the Dresser Drawers, if SJM wants to bring that back, the flowers would be for the Day Court Gardens with Lucian and Elaine, the Night Stars would obviously be Rhys and Feyre in the Night Court, but Nesta's drawer had orange flames, not silver flames. And Cormac also has orange flames. So that would make a whole lot of sense. Now, I also thought of another point toward this theory. Cormac had gone to an oracle on Avalyn, and the oracle never told him that he was just going to die. Cormac said, the oracle of Avalyn said I was destined to unite with a princess who possessed a star in her heart, that our mingling would bring great prosperity to our people. Now, of course, he thought this was Bryce. Everyone thought this was Bryce. But as we know, mating bonds are there from birth. So Bryce was always Hunt's mate. From birth, she was Hunt's mate. So it was never supposed to be Bryce for Cormac. So We have Rhys telling Nesta, the mother gave you the 8-pointed star for a reason. Go and find out why. If Nesta becomes High Lady of Dusk, that would come with High Lady powers, High Lord powers. What would the power of Dusk be but the starlight in her chest, like Bryce? She would get the star in her heart. I think it was the Oracle was telling Cormac about Nesta. And I know it's a big jump, but look at how many big jumps SJM took with this book. So I can sound crazy, but I'm fine with sounding crazy. Because it just makes sense. It just clicks. And going back to the whole Nesta being the princess with the star in her heart thing, I've already had people say, like, well, Nesta's not a princess. Nesta's not a princess. How do we know that? How do we know that? We know that the Archeron's family lineage is still a surprise. We know that the Bone Carver alluded to the fact that they descend from some Fey warrior, and it trickled down through a human line. We also got hints that, Tamlin in particular, but that Prythian knew their mother, because Tamlin asks Feyre, your mother never told you the stories? And that was always very weird. We don't know what the mother was, what relation she had to Prythian. She could have been a princess. She could have been a witch princess. She could have been a Fey princess, or half-Fey princess like Bryce. We don't know. So we can't cross out saying, oh, Nesta's not a princess, because we don't know what their mother was. We don't know what their grandmother was. Their grandmother was very witch from Tog coded, or even old Fey coded. Like, she was very cruel, and she would, like, beat them for the littlest things, and it just, it was like that. So she could be a witch princess. She could be a Fey princess. We have no idea. So you can't really cross out that Nesta isn't a princess. And the fact that she's going to become a queen, as Hybern said, oh, you're a queen. As Lanthus said, oh, queen of queens, queen of death, like all of this stuff. She's destined to be queen/High Lady of Dusk. So right now, technically, she could still be considered a princess regardless. And the whole our mingling will bring great prosperity to our people. Bryce already united Midgard. So what's left to bring prosperity to but the lost Dusk Court of Prythian? The Dusk Court of Prythian needs to be reinstated. They need to release their people from the stone. I think Nesta is going to be able to do that with Cormac's help, and I think that's exactly what his Oracle visit was about. Because if he was just going to be dead, why wouldn't the Oracle give him some eerie message of like, look, you're going to die. You're going to die as a rebel. You're going to die honorably, but you're going to die. But instead, it was, you're going to meet a princess with a star in her heart and bring great prosperity to your people.